Welcome back to WZ Tales. In today's story, we explore what happens when a fiancé secretly uses wedding money to fund a double life at luxury resorts. As you listen, notice the moment where you would have walked away. My fiancé said, "I don't owe you my whereabouts." I replied, "Then you can lose this wedding." Then I froze our joint account, canceled the vendors, collected every screenshot and bank statement, and I just watched as her secret luxury host life started slowly crashing down around her. My name is Brad. I am 31 and I work as a project manager for an infrastructure construction company in Denver. I have been doing this for about 6 years, mostly highway expansions and site prep. My fiancée, Sandra, is 27 and works as a sales rep for a medical equipment company. We have been together for about 2.5 years and engaged for 7 months. Our wedding was set for October. We had already put down deposits for the venue, caterer, photographer, and DJ. We set up a joint account for wedding expenses. Because I earn more, I was putting in a bigger share. That part did not bother me. I thought we were building a life together. But lately I had noticed the wedding account balance dropping faster than it should. When I asked Sandra about certain charges, she got vague. She would say things like, "That was for dress alterations," or "I had to put down a deposit on bridesmaid stuff," but she never sent receipts when I asked. She always said she would get around to it. This was the first quiet red flag around money that I tried not to overreact to. Around the same time, she started hanging out more with a coworker named Brianna. She came home excited, talking about how Brianna knew everyone and got invited to exclusive events. Sandra liked the lifestyle scene, influencers, and networking, so at first I did not see a problem. Then came her birthday Saturday. I had planned for weeks. I made a reservation at her favorite steakhouse. I bought her a nice bracelet. I even sent flowers to her office on Friday. On Saturday afternoon, she texted, "Running errands with Bri, be ready by 6:30. At 6:45, I was dressed and ready. At 7:00, I still had not heard from her. I texted, "You good?" No response. By 7:30, I started calling. Her phone rang and rang, but she did not answer. I texted Brianna, no response. I reached out to some of Sandra's other friends. They were vague too. "She's probably just running late." No one gave me a straight answer. By 8:00 p.m., I canceled the dinner reservation. I tried to stay calm, telling myself maybe her phone died or something came up, but she knew we had plans and had been excited about them. This is one of those moments where many people talk themselves out of their own instincts. Around 9:00, I tried calling Brianna again. This time she picked up. I heard club music in the background. Before I could ask anything, she said, "She's fine. Stop being so controlling," and hung up. When I tried to call back, I saw I was blocked. I sat there in my living room, still dressed for a dinner that was not happening, while my fiancé's friend called me controlling for wondering where she was on her own birthday. I did not sleep much. Around 2 in the morning, I started scrolling through Instagram, looking at stories from people Sandra followed. Most of it was random, until I opened Brianna's story. The first slide was champagne at a high-end resort bar. The next slide was a night view from a balcony with mountains in the background. Then came the one that made my stomach drop. It was a group photo at a table with bottles and sparklers. Brianna, 2 other women, 3 guys in expensive suits. And there was Sandra, in a tight dress I had never seen before, laughing with some guy's arm wrapped around her waist. She was leaning into him. She was tagged at a luxury resort about an hour outside Denver, a place that costs more than $600 a night. The timestamp on the story said 10 p.m. That was around the time I had been calling her, worried. I screenshotted everything. Sunday morning, she came home around 9 a.m., all cheerful, still in last night's makeup and dress. I was sitting at the kitchen table with coffee. "Where were you?" I asked. That is when she said it. "I'm an adult. I don't need to report my whereabouts to you, Brad." I took a sip of coffee. "Fair enough, you're right," I said. She looked relieved and started walking toward the bedroom. "Before you do that," I said and slid my phone across the table, open to the screenshots. Want to explain why you're tagged at a resort with some guy's arm around you?" Her face went white. She grabbed the phone and started swiping through the photos. "Brad, it's not what it looks like." "What does it look like then?" I asked. She said it was just a group outing. Brianna knew some people and invited her along. She called them friends I had never heard of, at a resort I did not know about, on a night she ghosted me on her birthday. She started the "you're overreacting" routine. She said the guy in the photo was just friendly, and I was reading too much into a casual touch. She said her phone had died, even though my calls had rung several times before going to voicemail. If it were really dead, the calls should have gone straight to voicemail. She claimed she had texted that she would miss dinner. She had not. I checked the entire message history right there. "Brad, you're being paranoid," she said. "This is why I didn't want to tell you where I was going. I knew you would turn it into something it wasn't." Gaslighting often sounds calm and reasonable in the moment. That does not make it true. I said, "I am looking at a photo of you at a luxury resort with a stranger's arm around you while I was at home waiting for you on your birthday." "He's not a stranger," she snapped. "He's Brianna's friend." "What is his name?" She hesitated. "I don't remember. We just met that night." "So he is a stranger," I said. She accused me of twisting her words and doubled down that I was controlling. At that point, I did not argue further. I told her I needed time to think and went for a drive. I drove around for about 2 hours, trying to clear my head. When I got back, I decided to check something I should have checked earlier. I logged into our joint wedding account and went through the recent transactions line by line. There were many small cash withdrawals over the past month. $200 here, $150 there, another $180. Then I saw an $800 charge from 2 weeks earlier to a company called Premier Event Services. It was not any of our wedding vendors. I checked our shared Google Doc where we tracked expenses. That name was not there. There was also a transfer from Friday, the day before her birthday. $450 moved from our wedding account to Sandra's personal Venmo with a memo that said weekend. I added up the strange charges. Almost $3,000 over 2 months. That was money meant for our future together. Sitting there on Sunday night, I made a decision. I was not going to keep arguing. I was going to protect myself and the money. On Monday morning, after she left for work, I started locking everything down. I called our wedding venue and asked them to put a 48-hour hold on everything. They froze the booking. I called the caterer and photographer. Same thing, put everything on hold. Then I calculated how much each of us had contributed to the wedding account. I had paid about 65%. I withdrew that amount and moved it to my personal savings. I changed passwords for the account and all wedding vendor portals. I canceled the credit card where Sandra was an authorized user. By noon, everything was frozen. She could not move wedding money, change vendor details, or use my card. Sometimes the calm choice is not to argue, but to quietly close the doors someone keeps trying to walk through without your consent. Sandra got home around 6 p.m. It took her about 20 minutes to realize something was wrong. She tried to log into the venue portal and could not. Then she tried using the card at the grocery store and it got declined. She came back into the apartment and slammed the door. "Brad, what the hell? Did you cancel my card?" "Yeah," I said. "I did." "Why would you do that?" she yelled. "Because I do not know where my money is going anymore." That set her off. She yelled that I was controlling, that I was embarrassing her, that I was punishing her for having friends. She said I was treating her like a child and that she could not believe I did not trust her. I stayed at the kitchen table with my laptop, not raising my voice. That made her even more angry. "Are you even listening to me?" "I am listening," I said. "You are upset that I locked down our joint account after you ghosted me on your birthday and showed up in Instagram photos at a luxury resort." She said it was not fair. I said what was not fair was me putting money into an account for our future and watching it disappear with no clear explanation. Then she changed tactics. Her tone softened. "If you're upset about Saturday, we can talk, but this is too far. Partners do not do this." "Partners also do not lie about where they are," I said. "We went in circles for about an hour. Every specific question about the money, the resort, the phone got an excuse. Finally, I told her I was tired and went to bed. She slept in the guest room. On Tuesday morning, I woke up to a long text from Brianna. 3 paragraphs accusing me of being emotionally abusive, warning me that if I kept this up, she would make sure people knew what kind of person I am. Her last message said, "Be careful, nobody likes a controlling boyfriend." I did not answer. I just took screenshots. That afternoon at work, I remembered that our iPad was logged into Sandra's email. I had never gone through it before, but now I needed to know what was going on. I opened her inbox and found an email from about 3 weeks earlier. Subject line: Weekend Host Program Confirmation and Details. It was from a company called VIP Social Events. The email described an opportunity to be a host for exclusive client experiences, with luxury accommodations and discretionary compensation provided. It talked about professionalism and the importance of privacy. There were 6 or 7 similar emails over 2 months, different weekends, different resorts, all with vague language about hosting duties and creating an upscale atmosphere for our clients. My stomach turned. This was not a one-time mistake. This was a pattern. This is the point where denial starts to fall apart. When you see the paper trail, it is much harder to pretend you are overreacting. When I got home that night, Sandra was already there. She tried to hug me. She said she wanted to work through things. She asked if I would unfreeze the wedding account so she could get back to planning. I looked at her and said, "I need you to send me receipts for every withdrawal you have made from the wedding account." "Brad, come on," she said. "Just the receipts," I replied. "That is all I am asking." She got defensive. She said she did not keep every receipt, that I needed to trust her. I let it go and said I was going to take a shower. While I was in the shower, my phone started buzzing. When I checked it, there was a text from her. "Fine, you want to be like this. I need you to Venmo me $500 by tomorrow morning, then I'll show you everything." "For what?" I asked. "The resort charged my card for damages. I need to pay it off." "What damages?" I asked. "It doesn't matter. Are you going to help me or not?" I stared at that text for a while, then replied, "Send the receipt first." She did not respond. Around 11 p.m., she left the apartment. She did not come back that night. On Wednesday morning, I woke up to a new Instagram DM from someone I did not know. It said, "Hey man, saw the drama in Brianna's comments. Need to talk to you about Sandra. She's not who you think she is." I checked his profile before answering. His name was Joshua. Mid-30s, posts from different cities, normal-looking feed. Not a bot. I replied, "What do you mean?" He answered quickly. He said he had been at the resort that weekend. He met Sandra and her friend. She told him she was single. He did not know she was engaged until he saw the online drama. He sent a voice note. He explained that he and his business partners rent out part of a resort a few times a year. They are investment guys. They hire a service that provides social hosts. Attractive women come to parties, make conversation, and keep things lively. They are paid to be friendly and maintain an upscale vibe. The service is called VIP Social Events. It was the same company from the emails I had seen. Sandra and Brianna, he said, showed up Friday evening as hosts. The company covered travel and accommodations. The women got around $500 to $800 each per night. They showed up, looked good, and kept things moving. He sent 3 photos. One showed a reservation confirmation listing T. Morrison as a host. Another was a check-in timestamp for Friday at 6 p.m. The third was a photo from the table, clearly showing Sandra in that same dress, sitting next to Joshua. "Look, man," his message said, "I'm not trying to cause problems, but she told me she was single. When I saw she was engaged, I felt like you should know. These girls present themselves as available. That's part of the deal." I asked if anything physical happened. He said no, not with him, but added that the whole setup was about being seen as available. I thanked him and got back into our joint account with a fine-tooth comb. Every time Sandra did one of these hosting weekends, I saw the same pattern. A cash withdrawal of $150 to $300, charges at Sephora or Nordstrom, a Venmo transfer to Brianna with a memo like "weekend." then a deposit into Sandra's personal account from something labeled VSC or similar. She had been using our wedding money as startup cash for these weekends, buying outfits, covering costs, then keeping the host payments for herself. I built a spreadsheet and tracked everything. Over about 2.5 months, she had pulled at least $2,800 from our wedding account. That $800 Premier Event Services charge turned out to be the management fee to join VIP social events host roster. She used our wedding savings to pay to get on a list where she could party with wealthy men who thought she was single. Later that day, Sandra came home from staying at Brianna's. I was at the kitchen table with my laptop open and a stack of printed bank statements laid out. "We need to talk," I said. She saw the papers and froze. She walked over slowly like she was approaching something dangerous. "What is that?" she asked. "A timeline," I said. "Every time you pulled money from our account lined up with one of your girls' weekends." I slid the printouts across the table. "Want to explain?" She did not look at the papers. She just stared at me. "You're going through my transactions now?" she asked. "Our transactions," I said. "From our joint account, the one we set up for our wedding." "This is insane, Brad," she said. "You are acting like I—" She stopped in the middle of a sentence. I saw her realize something. "I talked to Joshua," I said. "He told me about VIP social events, about the hosting program, about how you and Brianna are on their roster." I pulled up the email thread on my laptop and turned it toward her. "I found these on the iPad. You've been doing this for months." She stared at the screen for about 30 seconds, then she sat down. "It's not what you think," she said. "What do I think it is?" I asked. "You think you're acting like I was cheating," she said. "I wasn't. It's a job. We show up, we hang out, we get paid. That's it." "A job you never mentioned to me," I said. "A job you used our wedding money to get into." "I was going to tell you," she said. "When?" I asked. "After the wedding, after I found out my fiancé was being paid to act single at resorts while using our savings to fund it." She started crying. She said she knew I would overreact, so she kept it from me. She said weddings are expensive, that Brianna convinced her it was easy money and not a big deal. I asked her straight, "Did you sleep with any of these guys?" "No, Brad, I swear," she said. "It's just about being there and making them feel like they have a cool group around them." "Then why did you tell them you were single?" I asked. She said nothing. She just kept crying. I took a breath and asked, "How much have you made doing this?" "I don't know, maybe 3,000 total," she said. "And how much of our wedding money did you spend to do it?" I asked. Again, no answer. There is a difference between a boundary and a secret income stream that depends on pretending you are not engaged. I closed my laptop. "I need you to leave tonight," I said. That set off a new wave of crying and begging. She said she would stop. She said she would never do it again. She said we could work through it. I kept saying no. She finally agreed to leave, but then she called her mom. Within an hour, her mom and sister showed up. They came in angry, yelling that I was kicking her out over nothing. I stayed calm. "She does not have a right to be here," I said. "Her name is not on the lease, mine is." Her sister got in my face. "So you're just abandoning her?" she asked. "I am asking her to give me space while I decide if we are still getting married," I said. Her mom cried and said I was being cruel, that families work through things. Her sister threatened to call the police. "Go ahead," I said. "Tell them she is not on the lease and I am asking her to leave peacefully. See what they say." No one called. They argued for about 30 minutes before Sandra finally packed some things and left with them. It has been 3 days, I thought later, and all of this is still only the engagement. Over the next days, she stayed with her family. She texted me constantly with apologies and promises. Her mom called twice, asking me to forgive her. Her sister sent a long message saying I was throwing away a good woman because of my insecurity. Then I got an email from our wedding venue. It was a routine check-in, asking about scheduling a final walkthrough. But in the email thread, I saw something strange. There was an older message from 2 weeks earlier where someone had asked to change the primary contact email on the account. The request came from Sandra's email address. She had tried to change the venue contact to only her, instead of both of us. The coordinator had not processed it, yet because they needed both of us to approve the change in person. Seeing that, I wondered what else she planned to control. At that point, I started documenting everything. I saved screenshots of emails, bank statements, Instagram posts, Joshua's messages, and Brianna's threats. I put them all into a folder and backed it up on a thumb drive. On Monday morning, I called the venue and canceled the wedding. Because we were still outside the 6-week mark, we got back about 70% of the deposit. Then I called the other vendors. The photographer gave a full refund. The caterer kept their deposit but waived any extra fee. The DJ released the date and was kind about it. In total, I lost around $3,500. It hurt, but I kept thinking about what I might have lost if I had gone through with the marriage. I sent Sandra one email. I wrote that the wedding was canceled, that all vendors had been notified, and that I had divided the remaining wedding account funds based on contributions. I told her that her portion would be transferred and asked her to arrange a time to pick up her remaining belongings. I ended the email with one line: all future communication through email only. That day, she called me 14 times. I did not answer. Her mom called. Her sister called. Brianna called from a new number. I ignored them all. About a week later, Joshua messaged me again. He said things had blown up in the VIP social events group. Once word got out that one of their hosts had a fiancé who found out, several regular clients dropped out of future events. They did not want drama. Brianna tried to save herself by blaming Sandra, saying she should never have brought in someone who was in a relationship and that Sandra lied about being single. In the end, VIP social events dropped both of them from the roster. Sandra lost her side income and her networking seen in the same moment. Sometimes consequences show up in very practical ways. Her family slowly started to see the full picture. Her dad called me one evening. He said he had finally gotten the whole story from Sandra. He apologized for not believing me at first. He said he had seen the bank statements I sent, and that he could not believe his daughter had done that. We talked for about an hour. He had worked construction his whole life and was a straightforward man. He told me he respected how I handled things and said he wished his daughter had made better choices. Her mom called too, but that call was different. She mostly cried. She said she did not know where they went wrong with Sandra. She apologized for how she and the sister had acted when they came to the apartment. I told her that Sandra is an adult and makes her own choices. I think her mom will carry that guilt for a long time. I heard from mutual friends that Sandra tried to frame everything as a misunderstanding at first, but enough facts leaked out that most people in our circle know what really happened. She lost a lot of respect. Some friends still talk to her, but it is not the same. Then I got one more reminder of what I had avoided. Our old wedding venue sent another standard email about the final walkthrough. Their system still had our old thread, with both of us copied. I saw that Sandra had replied, asking if it was too late to reinstate the booking and if they would let her change the groom's name on the contract. I forwarded that email to a lawyer friend just to have it on record. He laughed and said I had dodged a serious problem. I am starting to agree. I sold the engagement ring. I did not get back what I paid, but it was enough to fund a solo trip to Montana. I took a week to hike and camp and clear my head. The money she pulled from our wedding account that came from my contributions is now sitting in an emergency fund. The $3,000 she made from hosting she can keep. That is her part of the consequences. I am not dating again yet, maybe in a few months. Right now I am focusing on work, time with friends, and not thinking about wedding planning for a long time. Sandra was right about one thing. She is an adult. Adults do not have to report their whereabouts, but adults also do not get to avoid the results of what they choose to do in those hours. She wanted a double life. The public fiancé and the secret host. Now both sides know the truth. I'm just glad I found out before I married her. If I had discovered this 2 years into a marriage with a house or kids involved, it would have been much harder and much more painful to leave. Lesson 1. If someone calls you controlling every time you ask basic questions about money and plans, They may be hiding more than you think. Lesson 2. A joint account is not safe if only one person is honest about how the money is used. Lesson 3. When someone protects their secrets more than they protect the relationship, believe their actions. Lesson 4. You are allowed to walk away from a wedding, an engagement, or any commitment when trust is gone. Lesson 5. Real boundaries protect both people. They do not exist to hide a double life funded by shared money. What would you have done in Brad's place, especially after seeing the resort photos and the bank statements line up? Have you ever dealt with a partner who used the word controlling to avoid answering fair questions about money or honesty? Share your thoughts.